Episode 97, Between Two Bridges. Tune in. We talk about Q4. It's here faster than you thought. And make sure you got good genes. Fall's right around the corner.
You're listening to Between Two Bridges, a business-to-business podcast. With your hosts, Joe Ferranti and Jerry Kenna. Produced by Nathan Kenna. Interviewing entrepreneurs, business operators, and investors. This episode is brought to you by Wash, because laundry shouldn't cost your time. Wash delivers. Sign up at pickupwashdeliver.com. Do the wash. Skip the hassle.
Between Two Bridges, episode 97, here in Between Two Bridges Studios. Here with Jerry Kenna. So we're plugging right along, man. Yeah, we're getting there. Middle of September already. Flies, dude. I mean, it seems like we were just here talking about Matt Light's ugly Christmas party, you know? So we're coming up on our 100th episode. Start plugging some shit for that. Start getting something together. I'd like to do a party. Maybe multiple guests.
Yeah.
In and out.
For 100th?
Yeah. A couple of our past celebrities.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
In and out. So we'll see how we can put that together. You know, in your line of work, middle of September means close to Q4, right?
Yeah, so now we're at the point of the year where we're starting to sit down with clients and doing a little bit of tax strategy. We talked before, months ago about the change in the tax software we used for this last year. One of the big reasons we switched to that tax software is that they have a tool in this tax software for tax advisor work, which allows me to really do some deep digging and some insights into everybody's tax situation. And it's really nice. And I've been able to present it to a handful of clients and show them some tax strategies that they could use. Not just, I've been doing this for years for my business clients because, I have business clients. I have a handful that I meet with every month. And, I'll say I show them, we sit with them, go over their financial statements. We track, kind of annualize their numbers, look at where they're at, kind of get an idea where they're going to land as far as taxes. And then
spend some money, maybe.
Spend some money, make some estimated payments, kind of prepare themselves for the tax hit, that kind of thing. Make plans. But the individual side, most of those people, I sit with them during tax season and I don't see them again until the next tax season.
Yeah.
This software allows me to be able to touch those people again and give them an opportunity to see what their situation is going to look like.
Put a little money in a 529, or whatever.
A 529, or maybe max out their 401k, or maybe give a little bit more money to charity, or, this year, particularly with the big, beautiful bill, there's a lot of changes coming.
Right.
Big question I keep getting, well, what does this mean for me? With the state and local tax limit increased, last year the state and local tax deduction limit was $10,000. So it was really hard to itemize. Well, this year we're going to see a lot more people itemizing on their tax return, especially in Pennsylvania, because $10,000 for state and local tax deduction in Pennsylvania is not really much. I mean, If you have a house that's assessed for $200K and you make a family, husband and wife work, or you make $200,000 in your household, you're paying $10,000 probably in state and local taxes or more. So you're capped, which if you're capped at $10,000 there, If you've got a mortgage and you're paying $6,000-8,000 in mortgage interest, you're done. You're not going to get to that $29,000 or $30,000 worth of standard deduction, so you're not going to itemize. Well, this year, if now all of a sudden you can write off your $18,000 or $20,000 worth of state and local taxes, and then now I can take that $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 worth of mortgage interest, and I can take the maybe $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 worth of charity that you do. Now all of a sudden you're in that itemized deduction territory. That changes the game.
Right.
So now, coming into October, if you're starting to flirt with that itemized deduction territory, maybe you've got a little bit of extra money that you can donate to a charity, and that might make a little bit of difference on your taxes. And now is the time where you can start making those changes. There's changes with the big beautiful bill where people are starting to consider maybe buying a new car, and you can start taking a interest deduction on a car loan. You can, for businesses, there's 100% tax bonus depreciation on new business assets. So there's a lot of new changes, and this new tax advisor tool allows me to present that in a really nice presentation to these clients to say, hey, you can do these handful of things, and it actually reviews everybody's individual tax return based on last year. It allows me to update it with current pay stubs. It annualizes them. It's a really nice tool. And I've been able to kind of present that to a handful of clients and show them like, hey, I don't know if you realize, but you're only putting X amount of dollars into your 401k. If you've got the extra money, taking it up to this could potentially save you money, this much money in your taxes. Right. And the handful of people that I've showed that to, they're like, Jesus, I didn't realize that it was going to make that big of a difference. And one of the things that people don't realize, not only does it save you money in taxes, but a lot of times when you especially when both the husband and the wife work, if you get to a certain adjusted gross income, you start to lose certain credits. Maybe you're at the $250,000 mark, or even less than that, really $180,000, $190,000 mark between husband and wife, and you've got a kid going into college. Well, you're above the threshold for being able to take education credits. But if you can take and dump an extra $10,000 into your 401k, not only are you going to save money because you're going to bring your taxable income down, but you're also going to put yourself in under that income threshold. So now not only are you going to save money in federal tax, but you're also going to get yourself that $2,500 American Opportunity Credit that you wouldn't have been eligible before, but now you are.
Yeah, and that's why it's important, and it's why you pay for this software, because it eventually makes you better at your job, which makes you the right hire.
And one of the hard parts of growing to the size that we've grown is that it's hard sometimes when you do the volume of returns that we do to be able to go through this client list and say, oh, Joe is right at this cusp. Right. And he could do this. If he made this small tweak in his situation, he could do this. But this software actually kind of helps bring you to the top and say, hey, he has big savings here. You should look at this one.
Right, which is funny too, because you think about it and you're like, you've run into it, I'm sure, with clients where they're like, well, the last guy didn't catch this and it cost me, or someone will go somewhere else or talk to a friend and they'll say, well, how did they get this? And it's like you can't analyze everybody's data. Everybody's tax situation is different. Right.
You might be $500 over a certain threshold, and and everybody. I had a conversation today with an employee of a client that has a small side job. So they have a main job with a salary and make a certain amount of money. And then they've got another job, like a little part-time job, and they had a pay stub that had no federal tax withheld. And they sent me that, and they were like, why am I not having any federal tax withheld on this paycheck? And I don't understand why that company's not withholding any tax. So I had to explain to this person that, well, if you look at your gross income on that
they're not allowed
paycheck,
to take it.
it's not enough. So if you just take that times 26 paychecks a year, it's only X amount of dollars. That's not enough to trigger federal tax. And they said, well, yeah, but what am my other job? I said, yeah, but that company doesn't know about that other job.
They don't know what you're making across the board.
So you kind of have to make up for that. So I had to explain to them that you have to, adjust your W-4, you have to increase your withholding, you have to adjust for that yourself.
Right.
And a lot of clients don't realize that. Those kind of things, you have to have a really good relationship with your tax accountant. You have to ask those questions, which is kind of also brought to light a lot of changes in this business that have happened over the years. And, when I first started this business all the way back in 2000, I started doing taxes on the side in 2007. 2010 is when I incorporated my company, but I had already been in the business for a few years at that point. I mean, this was you do taxes. You were busy as hell for the first few months of the year. And then the rest of the year, you would just kind of work a few hours a day, a couple days a week. Yeah. I mean, it was easy. You just kind of phoned it in, but you made all your money in the first few months of the year. Now, this business has changed. And obviously, I do a lot of year-round work with my business clients and things like that. But take those aside, the tax compliance side of the business has changed so much with automated letters from government agencies, with questions from clients that come up, just random questions, things that just pop in their head where they need guidance, whether it's filling out a W-4, random questions about a pay stub, whether it's, advisory work, it's really changed a lot. I've been reading articles because I'm always trying to figure out, I'm always trying to stay ahead of the curve on my business. Right.
Your industry.
Yeah. On my industry, and trying to figure out how's everybody else, where's this business going? One of the things that I found, and I'm very early in this process, but one of the things that I found is that there are a handful of firms that are actually starting even a tiered approach to tax prep, where instead of just offering a flat fee tax prep service, they're actually offering an advisory service in addition to that, because one thing that's really frustrating to a client, and it's also frustrating to the preparer, and it's two separate frustrations, two separate sides of it, but I'll explain both, and I think people will understand both sides of it. To the client, if you call with a quick question, you might be on the phone with me for 5 minutes. If I sent you a bill after that 5-minute phone call, you'd be like, what an asshole, right?
But how lawyers roll.
For me, I just stopped what I was doing, spent 5 minutes on the phone with you. I feel like an asshole sending you a bill.
Right.
But that was time and knowledge that I just gave you, right? Whether it was a question about how to fill out a W-4, or whether it was a letter you received from the state because they want more information about a form that we filled out, or, now if it was a letter questioning something that was a mistake we made, that's a whole different story. But if it's just, one of the letters that we get all the time now is that the state will question business deductions. And it's just, they want more information because the state is nitpicky. Even completely legitimate deductions, that's just what they do now. So it's frustrating, but it's just the world we live in. But these things all take time. Now, I hate nickel and diming clients, but it's become the point where it's like we spend so much time on these little itty bitty tasks that this advisory service kind of is something that I'm thinking might be something worth considering. But basically the idea is, the flat fee accounting, the tax prep service, you'd pay X amount of dollars, we do your return. If there's any of this other stuff, you get billed by the hour for anything. if you pay for the advisory service, instead of paying that flat rate, you pay a monthly, basically a subscription for access.
Yeah, because your business clients are paying all year round.
They do. And this is more even for an individual. Right. And this is not like reinventing the wheel. And this is something that's been around for a long time, but it's typically been something that's reserved for high net worth or business clients.
Yeah, and a lot of them have like financial advisors and.
Sure. But it seems like in the age of automated letters from the government, and where, like, you have to understand, these letters that are coming from the state and these letters that are getting generated from the IRS, these aren't being generated by a human. They're getting spit out by a computer. So they're coming at a more rapid pace than ever before.
Right, and it's hard to, like, even with the business stuff on my end, like, I'll get something and I usually sit on it for a while because there's usually another letter coming.
Yeah.
Saying disregard, or
right.
your new balance is this, or.
Right. And it's hard for us to keep up with that pace. So it's something that's interesting, and I'm in the early stages of considering it, but I'm considering coming up with some sort of tiered approach where we offer like a base flat rate service, and then we're also maybe going to offer some sort of monthly advisory approach for the clients that want that.
It's not a bad idea even for people that aren't like ultra wealthy.
Right.
You get a tax advisor throughout the year.
Right.
Right. And let's just say, even if you make $40,000 a year, you're going to pay $200 and some at the end of the year to get your taxes done.
Right.
So if you could pay a little bit now every month.
Yeah. And it's going to equate to more money, but you're going to have access. But along with that tax advisor service, you would have that reporting from that software. We would be able to give that to you on a quarterly basis where you'd be able to keep up with it, and we'd be able to give you a quarterly report that kind of shows you ongoing throughout the year, like, this is where you are.
Yeah, and as a consumer, I think that if you were to say, I don't know what individual tax return, $200. If you said, hey, I'm going to charge you $30 a month, or the famous $29.95 a month.
Right.
Now, you're getting paid for those 5 minutes throughout the year.
Right.
They're paying an extra $100 throughout the year. They're not getting hit with a burden at the end of the year.
Right.
And they have someone to lean on.
They get a new job. It out. They don't have to worry if they get a letter, it's covered. They're covered. They have that little bit of protection. They have a little bit of, and if they have that random question, they got a new job, they need to fill out a W-4, we're there. They're going to get that quarterly report that says that, as of this point, you don't need to send in any estimated payments. This is what you're looking at as a refund based on your pay stubs at this point. You're kind of getting like a mock-up tax return every quarter based on your pay stubs.
Because I've had that happen to employees where, like you said, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what their husband does. I don't know what their situation is at home. They fill it out. We enter it in. The payroll software takes their deduction. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the year, they're getting hit with a tax bill for $1,600. And all of a ssudden, I'm the bad guy. I'm like, wait, I'm not a tax guy. If you had some service like that throughout the year where you could ask those questions, you get a new job, or,
right.
You hit a scratch-off ticket for $5,000, that all changes your end of the year nugget,
Yeah, 100%. And that's the thing, is that it would eliminate that surprise.
Right, and that's all you're, like, I don't think anybody really cares that they got to fill out taxes at the end of the year. Everybody's just nervous.
Right.
Because there's a guy in the corner of the room that's going to be like this. He's either going to be like this, which you're like, sweet, or he's going to be like, yes.
Right.
And there's people, and one of our dear friends here, the co-host of the show, our Destiny, he's one of those people. He's always paid attention to it.
Right.
Remember, he would say like October, he was done paying taxes.
Right.
He's on top of his shit with that stuff.
Right.
One of my employees' husbands, he's on top of it. I mean, I think we made a mistake when we were transferring software, and the next pay stub, he was like, "This is $30 short. Like, what's going on?" And it just triggered something,
Right.
So, but if you're not on top of that, that adds up, But if you're getting paid weekly, it's 52 pays a year, bi-weekly is 26, and if it's $40 that you're missing, you're gonna get slammed at the end of the year.
Right. Yeah, it's
And for someone that always is expecting a return, not me myself, but like people that do, if they're going their whole lives, they've built like, all right, well, we'll buy Christmas presents with this money. We'll file, you know what I mean? Like, we're going to pay for this trip with this money. If they come to you and they're used to getting $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 back and something changed throughout the year.
And that happens all the time.
And they're like, wait, I owe you $800. Now vacation's canceled.
People hit a different stage of their life where maybe their kids turned 17. Now all of a sudden their child tax credit went from $2,000 to $500. That's a big change.
Right.
Or things change, or maybe their income went just over that threshold where they lost those credits. And those big changes, where they've went years getting $4,000 back, and now all of a sudden they owe $1,000. What the hell happened?
Yeah.
Well, if you had that tax advisor software you'd have known 3 months ago, we could have maybe done something about it. But now it's too late. Yeah. It's March of the following year.
Yeah.
We can't do shit. You're going to write a check and we're going to hope for the best. And at this point, you're already 3 months into the next year. So now we're trying to overcompensate just so that you're not jammed for the following year. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that there might be a play for that. I'm curious. I'm very preliminary. I've just been reading some articles to see. I think it's.
Well, I mean, AI is the data analyzation now is so easy for you to be able. I mean, obviously, people listening to this are business owners and people that get it a little bit, so they understand that you're going to try to make a profit, and they're like, well, why don't I just get this software at home? Well, you don't want to pay what Jerry paid for this software.
You don't.
It's a huge investment on your company, so you should utilize it.
I think I had
a little extra money.
I had to raise prices last year to kind of compensate for the fact that this software was so much more money. And I honestly think I had 2 clients that made a comment.
I was one of them.
You were not. But I'm honest with my clients, and I'm like, listen, my tax software, and I'll put it out. I mean, my tax software alone cost me $25,000 a year.
Yeah.
Just the tax software every year, I spend $25,000.
Yeah.
Just to do taxes. So tax returns cost money.
Right.
But that's just the software. That's not so the paper. That's not the staff. That's not the ink. That's not the printer. That's not the, the folders, the postage, the envelopes, and how about the 20 years worth of experience for me to be able to do them like I do them.
Right. And I also, I always think back to like old timer would tell you, I made $300. I'd put, 150 in savings. And I put gas in my car, I get a large pizza, I get a case of beer. We were good for the weekend, and I went back to work. It's like, all right, that's fine. That's the way it used to be. So now if you made $300, you're giving $100 to Verizon for your cell phone.
Right.
You're giving $100 to Comcast for your cable.
Yep.
And another $100 for your internet. Well, there's nothing left.
Yeah, listen.
We have all these extra fees that.
It's not like it used to be. I mean, the days in 2007, when I started out, we used to do tax returns for $70, $80.
Right.
The days of that are long over.
Yeah.
I wish I could still do them for $70, $80, but I have to charge it.
Our point of sale and our credit card processing, I'd like to think I get a good rate there, but that's probably like 8% of every ticket written. So that doesn't change the garment going out the door. It doesn't change the way it looks. No. It doesn't it makes our process better. Mm-hmm. But it's, if you go down the street and they're still handwriting tickets and losing your shit and you're getting frustrated, well, you got to pay 8% more to get to the next, you got to pay. Yeah. It tears up.
You got to pay to play.
Yeah.
And honestly, fortunately, I get my software, I get a good rate. I get a really strong rate. I mean, it's renewal season. So I just had a conversation with the sales rep from the software company, and we discussed lowering my rate per return because we do a very healthy volume, and I'm at the second to lowest tier. I'm eligible to go to the lowest tier, but the discussion that we had was for me to go to the lowest tier, I've got to prepay up front for my entire volume.
Yeah.
In order to lock in that lower rate, or I can stay at the rate I'm at and pay as I go, as I do the returns. And for me, I'm like, well, the difference between the two tiers is so nominal,
right,
that I'm like, I'm just going to hold my cash. Fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, that's something like, that the consumer doesn't see. There's all these new ideas that come into the ether. Like, people will say, oh, I go to this laundromat and they have credit card readers on all the machines. Well, that's great, but like, you can't say that to a guy that's been in operation for 15 years, because he needs to update all his machines, not just the readers,
right?
Not just the coin, but it's the machines. He's looking at $1 million investment. So do you want to say to that guy, hey, raise your prices $3 a load? And yeah, we'll be fancy just like everybody else. So like, there's a give and take with that kind of technology. Yeah. We're fortunate that we're still in a phase in our companies where we're trying to expand and make them better and improve the processes. We're not looking down the barrel of 8 years till retirement yet. You know what I mean?
No, and my goal with my company, I've never, and I've said it a million times on this podcast, I'm always trying to be the most cutting edge as far as technology. Like, I don't want to sit stagnant. Right. I've purchased other accounting firms, and I've looked at countless other accounting firms to buy. And I go into these other accounting firms and I look in their file rooms, and I'm like, and I look at their processes and I'm like, like, I don't even want to deal with this.
Right.
I don't like, just trying to get this modernized and trying to get these clients modernized is going to be such a feat, because I don't want to be like this. And, listen, every one of these businesses, and I'm a ways away from retirement. Okay. Unless maybe I won the Powerball. TBD. Maybe we're not public yet. I don't know. You'll know someday. Every one of these businesses that you set up, and I tell these clients all the time when they come in, says, I'm going to start a business. Unless you're looking to start yourself a job, you need to look at your business in a way of, how do I start this business and create it in a way that it's sellable? A business is an asset. Just like you're trying to buy a piece of property, just like you buy a stock, just like you buy a house. If I buy a house to move into and I'm going to renovate it, you not only want to renovate it so that it's how you like it, you think about resale value, right? So when I'm building a business or starting a business, or I'm helping a client start or build a business, you need to be thinking, how is this business the best way to market it for sale? So in my opinion, for an accounting firm, and the way I've purchased accounting firms and why they are hard to sell sometimes, is because they're antiquated. And because a lot of times with an accounting firm, the value of the accounting firm dies with the owner, right? So you take the owner out of the equation, and you're not guaranteed to get all those clients. And it wasn't like this at the beginning, but what I'm trying to create here is an accounting firm that is bigger than me.
Right.
And I'm trying to create a cutting edge, tech first accounting firm with big systems and processes, with a staff that understands the systems and processes, with the software and the tools necessary to be able to do the work and onboard clients and turn the work and do what it needs to do with and without me, so that 10, 15, 20 years from now, whenever I decide to retire, it's marketable.
Right.
And because at that point, it's basically just a recurring revenue stream.
And that's the biggest thing we've experienced since we started this episode, like since we started doing the podcast. Everything is about that recurring revenue stream.
That's all it is.
That's all people want to see.
Thank you for listening. And now a brief word from our sponsor. You've got a full plate. Kids, meetings, workouts, side hustles. There's better things to do than laundry. Introducing Wash, laundry reimagined for the modern world. Schedule your pickup in seconds via the convenient web app. Wash picks up your clothes, cleans with care, and brings them back fresh and ready to wear. But it's more than garments. From bedding and table linens to shoes, hats, purses, and more, Wash handles all your life's fabric, leaving you more time to do you. Visit pickupwashdeliver.com and see how convenient it can be to do the wash. And now, back to the show.
You know, busy time, slow time, you know, you get a phone call, guys like, hey, how's this work? It's like, well, we'll come pick it up. Like, you're on Wednesday's route. Well, that's not gonna work for me. I need it today. And I'm like, well, find a local shop and they'll do it. And, you know, it took me like a long time in my life to be able to turn down business. Not that I want to, not that I'm arrogant, but it's like, I can't build the process and build the system if every time someone calls and says they need it today, I run and pick it up.
You can't be running around putting out fires all the time.
No, it's just, so you got to be able to say no, you know?
Yep.
And you got to understand your business. And we're now, you know, middle of September, and we've run it like this for a year now. So it's nice to see. It's finally nice to get rid of all those retail numbers and quit looking at months that are just so much lower than last year. You know what I mean? We can start comparing apples to apples again.
Yeah.
And like, it's part of the process. And I knew it wasn't going to be easy. And I knew it wasn't going to be, you know, turn the lights on, turn the lights out, turn the lights on, just start printing money. You know, there's been things I've seen, people that I've talked to that I'm shocked that didn't switch to delivery. There's other customers that I'm shocked that did, you know, but we're better off now because of that process. We're getting through that process, you know? So now we're starting to see a leveling, and then now we know what we can build off of, you know, like we can attack the wash and fold a little bit more, you know, and it's weird that it's been a year, you know, a little bit over a year. But when you're saying this about your software and I'm saying this about my software, like, that's what you need to do sometimes. You need to like take yourself out of it. And there's guys that are going to listen to this podcast that are 63 years old that have run their business a certain way. And they think, well, I was always told, you know, it's worth 2x revenue and I'm going to sell it and I'm going to sail off in my sailboat, and they're going to go to sell it and they're going to be fucked because that's not the case anymore.
Right.
Because they, you know, like we had Angel on. She's modern in her shop. You know, her shop's pretty modern and people are looking to buy those shops. But she's going to get more money for her shop than, you know, Tommy down the street that just sands cars all day and paints them.
Yep, 100%. You're the people that are, because the buyer for that shop is different than the buyer for the old school shop.
So you're probably going to do some self-funding. You're going to finance the deal on your own.
Yeah.
You're going to be now retirement age, hoping that the next guy.
Yeah. Where you could end up with a shop that's modern. You could end up with a venture capital group that comes in and buys it. You could end up, you have a different buyer group.
Right. And if you do have to do, so even if you don't have that venture capitalist coming in to buy it and you just have to sell it to someone, you know that the systems are good, that if you do have to hold some of the funding on your end, you know that they're going to be able to pay you back.
Yeah.
Because you're not selling them a fucking pipe dream.
You're selling them a machine.
Yeah. So like, you're like, this would, like, I could literally let this run without me. You know, there's a huge guy in our industry that talks about, like, you know, he works in his plant 1 or 2 hours a week and does all this revenue and stuff like that. It's, you know, I always look at people like that, and I don't know him personally, but I look at people like that, like snake oil salesmen, you know, like if you're making, you know, if you're doing 20, 30% of revenue on $7 million a year and you're working 1 to 2 hours a week, why are you writing books? Why are you flying all over the country?
Why are you selling classes?
Yeah. You know, if you're making, you know, that's $250,000 working 52 hours a year. If you're making that kind of money, you don't need to be flying all over the country talking to rooms full of people that are, you're selling a dream. And there's a place for it. And if he listens to it, congratulations. But to me, it's about, you know, building a business that does that. What he like, and it's not even that number of revenue, because that number of revenue in our industry is fucked. Like there's a lot of people working to get $7 million worth of shirts and pants done. But like, if you build a system that works, then you can sell that system because you know it works. But you're selling a dream, you know, you're going into a mom and pop shop that's doing $650,000 in revenue, and you're like, I will get you at $7 million. And they're looking around, they're like, we got 1,800 square feet. Like, where the fuck are we doing this? You know? So the systems that we're building now in our 40s will pay dividends in our 60s. But there's so many, like in our industry, there's so many people that are like, I want to retire, I'll sell my shop. Like there's one pretty local to us, you know, they want like $500,000, right? And they have a good delivery route, but like the mom and the husband and wife work there. So you give them the money and they're gone. You've lost your 2 best workers. And like you said, clientele. Oh, well, that's my neighbor and that's my banker and he's my doctor and my lawyer. And now sales are down 30% and I lost half my staff in a year.
Now all of a sudden it's not worth that.
Yeah. So,
and that's the way it's always been with the accounting business, is that you end up paying typically accounting firms in the way that I've always bought them, you buy it for 1 times revenue. And typically it's an earnout where you take that 1 times revenue and it's split up over 4 or 5 years, and it's based on what you retain. So you give the seller 20% of the revenue you earned from their clients for the next 4 or 5 years, 20 to 25%, right? That's the way I've purchased the last 2 firms that I purchased, and it's worked and they've been happy, and that's fine. And typically you mitigate the risk to them by giving them the increase. So if you raise the price, they get the increase,
Right.
So if they get 20% of whatever the new price is.
right.
And that's how you mitigate the risk to them if you lose the client. But the risk to you is, you may lose those clients, but but you mitigate the risk to you, because if you lose a client, you don't pay for them. In an accounting firm, you don't give a big upfront money because there's nothing guaranteed. But if you can build an accounting firm that isn't tied directly to you, and I can tell you right now, I do not own one. My firm right now, if I disappeared tomorrow, I don't know that it would survive.
Right.
And, we could talk about succession plans. We've talked about talking about succession plans on this podcast for a while, and we've not really gotten into it. I think that big reason why we haven't gotten into it is that I don't have a good one.
Yeah, me neither. And I don't want to talk about my demise.
Yeah.
We were hoping we'd be canceled. Episode fucking 97. Here we are.
Yeah.
I mean, I've given some.
I thought we were getting there on that Emiliano's one, but
I know,
it seems like we got more popular.
I've given questionable world leaders 5 stars on this show before. We're still here.
10 out of 10. Yeah, we
should probably bring someone on that's specialized in that.
in succession planning.
Yeah, not only, I'm not paying them to come on here, but I'm going to have to pay someone to do one.
Yeah.
I live my 20s and 30s by the seat of my pants, and I thought 40 was going to be different. Mara told us, 20s and 30s was for learning and 40s was for earning.
I'm still waiting for that.
Yeah, and then he fucking changed it on me the last time I told him that. He said, no, 50s.
Yeah.
Like, fuck.
Yeah, because he's still learning too.
Yeah, we're all still learning.
I don't think we're ever going to stop learning.
Yeah, I think that what we're doing, though, is building processes and systems, and that they're working. And
I think the big thing about 40 is that I learned a lot, and I'm looking at things a lot differently now, where I'm giving a shit about a lot less things now, and I'm letting a lot more slide off my back now. And I'm just like, if it's not improving my life in one way or another, like, it's not part of my life.
yeah,
Whether it's an activity, a person, or whatever, like, fuck.
I don't know if she watches this show, but if she does, shout out. We had her on here, Charlotte Hayward Wesley. She's a super great lady, and I look at her like a mom figure, But when we were talking the other day, she was telling me that, like, well, Allegheny General talked about wanting to have volunteers come help, so we're going to set this up for that. And she was like, we have these people coming in to help us do this, and I'm like, I'm really proud of you, because, like, you're delegating, and you're, like, getting really good at it. And before it was like she was just going to handle everything, and I'm like, that's something I'm learning in my 40s. Is like, we've always learned in our industry, the sooner you can get the boiler shut off, the better, right? Because you're going to save money on gas and utilities and whatnot. But that's not always right. Like I've started to learn that's because what that does is that takes me out of the office doing something that's important. Puts me on a press trying to get the day done, to rush my employees out of there, to rush the boiler down. And like everybody's kind of not happy with that because first of all, your employees get less hours, right? I didn't get my shit done, so now I'm doing it at 7:00 at night rather than doing it at noon. And some of it's time sensitive shit that I just put on the back burner. So like you start to learn, so maybe we are still learning in our 40s. And
I know I am 100% still learning. And I know that delegation is a major weakness of mine. I'm horrible at I'll just do it myself. And not just delegating. And it's something that I need to improve on.
But I think over the course of the last year, what I realized is like, I'm okay at everything that we do. Like I'm an okay pants presser. I'm an okay dry cleaner presser. Like I'm okay at everything that we do. But like people that I have working for me are really fucking good. Like every once in a while, I'll just like go to the back and like we have stuff that's not bagged yet. And I like look it over and I'm like, we do a really fucking good product here. Like I don't have to be shy of who we bring on as a client now. Like before you'd worry, like you get someone that's got like $5,000 suits and you're like, all right, I'll handle this shit. But our systems that we have in place and the people that I have working for me and everybody involved has a stake in it now because we've shrunk it. That I think that if we were to when we ramp back up, that I don't have to worry about that because they're going to be the ones that train the people, not me. And it's a good place to be in. I just would like to see that revenue number go up faster, but I'm taking it on the chin right now because I needed to. I believe in this. And first year, I'd say it was a success, I spent a lot more time like fucking around on social media, like posting stuff that I'd never done before, it'd be like once in a blue moon. And we've had a lot of people on here that are doing well for themselves, that are doing a lot of posting on social media. And I swear it seems like every time, like it's not like I get like viral status, but it seems like every time I post something, I get a new customer or a new inquiry. Somebody's asking about something. And I'm like, well, you do that every day.
Something's going to work.
30 times, like 30 weekdays, you get 25 customers a month. You're on track.
That's good.
Yeah.
And it's just going to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Because now, eventually, the way social media works is that eventually it's going to be 2 customers a day.
Yeah, because then you have 2,000 followers and yeah.
Yeah.
So but like that's the funny part is like we are 40 and still learning that game. And that's like always my fear for what I got going on is there's people out there that are 26 and if they get the dry clean bug in them and want to go after it on social media, I'm going to be way behind the 8 ball with these motherfuckers. But I mean, there's $1 billion business ideas that don't succeed because you can't do it all. Like guys have had great ideas and great visions for their company, but they think they can do it all. And you can't, And we're fortunate now that we're starting to learn this AI thing, and we're not too old yet to be like, remedy, fuck that, So there's a dry cleaners in New York City that has an AI assistant on her website that you can actually talk to it and it'll answer questions like real time. It's the owner of the company's person. It's a real person. And she's answering. I'm like, no shit. But you ask 1,000 dry cleaners in America about that lady and they're going to be like, who? What?
Yeah.
Because they just think they're set in their ways. And like you with this software and doing this, like I can't imagine if I was just like, let's say me and my wife made $160,000 a year, bought a house this year and we had a baby and this thing comes in my email from your Landmark and I read it and I'm like, I'm way behind the 8 ball and I need to call Jerry, and like at the end of the year, you save me 17 grand. You got a customer for life at that point,
right?
And not Jerry, Landmark. Landmark has a customer for life, So, I mean, it's creating this connection, but it's so weird because 70-year-old people were like, that space age shit. But 40-year-old people were like, this is how we're going to communicate. This is how things are going to get done.
Right.
And like, I know people that are still working in their 60s and you tell them about it, and I know that it would be beneficial. I mean, real estate agents, school teachers, anybody could write a response to an email with AI, and it is like liberating. Because like I know big words. I can't spell big words, and I can't string them into long sentences.
Right.
But like AI, I'm like, that is exactly what I was thinking, and it sounds polished and good, and you just gotta just copy and paste it in Google Docs or something. That way, because it'll throw you for a loop. It'll spell some shit wrong, but it's all part of that process, you know. And AI is unfortunately, you know, is becoming a huge part of my process.
Well, it's a fortunate thing. I mean, you got to figure out how to use it right. But yeah.
So I don't see AI pressing a pair of pants anytime soon.
No.
They had a robot folding towels at our show.
Oh, really?
And dude, it like took like 3.5 minutes for it to fold one towel, and it pretty much gave up. It was like me folding a fitted sheet, just fucking wrinkled it into a ball and shoved it into the corner. But it was more of that company to say it's coming, you know, like it's all on the precipice, you know. So I look forward to it. I don't run away from it. I run towards it.
Yeah.
You know. So it's a huge part of our future. What else is new?
Sydney Sweeney has great jeans.
So do you, bud.
You like them?
I like them jeans.
They're the perfect jeans. These are an Instagram buy, I think.
So that hits home here in Pittsburgh. It's an American Eagle ad. Apparently,
ruffled some feathers.
Yeah, not only that, it was already an ad in the 80s.
Was it?
A Calvin Klein jeans ad was similar to that ad, which obviously in the 80s nobody gave a fuck.
No.
But yeah, it ruffled some feathers here locally. And American Eagle then doubled down and just booked, I would say, one of the most popular celebrities, definitely one of the most popular football players, and Travis Kelce, to run ads for them.
Yeah, so Travis Kelce now, who's got engaged. I think we mentioned it briefly on the last episode.
What's her name?
Taylor Swift, I think.
Yeah, that's her.
I think we're the only podcast that didn't make a big announcement whenever.
Yeah. Well, I was going to put a
engaged.
picture on my social of her and him getting engaged. I'm like, we do wedding gowns.
Yeah.
I don't even, actually, it's one of those things where like, Taylor Swift, if you're watching, take your wedding gown somewhere else. I don't want anything to do with that, because that ain't gonna be no David's Bridal $695 wedding gown. That's gonna be, you know, probably $50,000-$60,000
at least.
You're gonna be putting that in the, you're gonna be cleaning that in a machine, and the dress is gonna be worth more than the machine.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
no doubt about it.
Unless she wants to pay like $30,000, I'm willing to wheel the dice. I mean, we're pretty
You
good.
got insurance, right? You got liability insurance.
Dude, I would love to make that phone call to my insurance company.
Yeah,
Like, here's the deal.
we're cleaning Taylor Swift's dress.
Yeah, you know, I do probably, I don't know, I'd say easy 150, 200 wedding gowns a year. Never had a problem with a wedding gown.
That'll be the one you fuck up.
I got 3 I got to do this weekend. You know, and a lot of them you do them post-wedding. So if there was a problem, you could probably fix it. But I always get there's a local bridal shop here in town that refers people to me, and like like when they're trying on gowns, they'll get something on them, and then they're calling me and they're like, "Hey, there's something on the bottom of this dress. I got to wear it Saturday." And I'm like, "Do you realize the amount of pressure that puts on me? Like, if I do something wrong here, like, you're not getting married in this gown." But we've been fortunate. I've nailed it a couple times, like where I've saved the day, and I'm like, yeah, nobody even cares, but I do. Me and the bride care.
Yeah.
Other than that, then they come back and they bring them back for me to clean them after the wedding, and I'm like, you were worried about those 2 little marks on the bottom of that dress after you just wore this all around. You know, Renfrew Farms. It's trash, dude. There's bark in it. There's mud.
Yeah.
Used cigarettes. Like, I'm like, what is going on? like, we had one where a girl was unfortunately, they were in an accident in their limousine. It was all covered in blood and broken glass. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
So let's talk about this hoopla, this anger about Sydney Sweeney has great jeans.
Do you think that American Eagle, before it was released, was like, this is an option. This might play out like this?
I really don't think that they saw this as real controversial. I thought that they thought it was kind of a cool wordplay, that she's beautiful, right? She is.
I didn't even know who she was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, till this.
Yeah, I mean, I think they just thought it was, cool wordplay. She's going to wear the jeans, I think it was going to kind of market to men to buy jeans for their wives, their girlfriends. I don't really think that they thought it was going to generate this much anger, but man, I mean, there were people on social media saying that they were Nazis because she's got blonde hair and blue eyes, and that it was
that just
racist.
Goes to show you where people's heads are.
And it was crazy, man. Like
anybody that thought that was a Nazi propaganda skit, they're fucking.
You got to be out of your mind.
Yeah, you're just looking for it.
Like, what are we talking about?
They're the same people that stand on the kitchen table when a mouse runs through.
Like, what is going on here? Yeah, I thought it was crazy. I think that it's interesting. A few years ago, I noticed the shift in marketing. We went to Maryland for a concert, and it was at a concert venue that was near a mall, and we happened to be walking through a mall, and we were walking by a Victoria's Secret, and I noticed that all the signage outside this Victoria's Secret all had plus size models on it.
Yeah.
And I just happened to it just caught my eye, and I'm like, well, that's
different.
Yeah. Right? Because it used to be like whenever you walk by a Victoria's Secret, they were all like thin, like stereotypical models. And these were all like heavy set plus size women wearing Victoria's Secret lingerie. And I thought, wow, that's odd that that's their marketing strategy now, is to market to plus size women. And then it turned that like all these clothing manufacturers were using plus size women, and then like Lizzo, and it was like everybody was embracing overweight models.
I think they're just trying not to subjectify women. And
that was the thing. It was like, you should just own your body and feel comfortable in your own skin, and okay, that's fine, and okay. And then it was like
16 weeks later, they were like, you better get a fucking vaccine.
Yeah, it was like this real big push into like this diversity thing where you couldn't market, you couldn't use a model unless they were some sort of diversity thing, where it was either they had to be plus size or they had to be just some sort of, it had to be some sort of diverse. And then now, like, Sydney Sweeney is blonde hair, blue eye, beautiful Caucasian girl, and now she's a Nazi. What the fuck happened here?
Well, I just think the companies are trying to, we talked about it a couple episodes ago, it's that they're just trying to tote the line. They're trying to cater to 1% of the people, but they need to sell their product to 80% of the people.
Right. And we talked about it a couple episodes ago about companies playing politics. And American Eagle stock actually skyrocketed over this Sydney Sweeney ad. Now they're kind of doubling down with Travis Kelce, who is another, white guy, right? Athlete. And they're not really holding back. We saw what happened with Bud Light over the Dylan Mulvaney.
If you would have asked me before all this, if American Eagle was still in business,
you would have been like, I don't know.
I would have given you a 50-50 guess.
Yeah. A lot of those brands, American Eagle, Abercrombie, they've kind of become I don't know.
They're like pop culture.
Yeah. Or nobodies. Yeah. And this kind of put them back on the map, which is probably a big reason why the stock jumped.
Right. I really hoped that for their sake that someone in that office was like, well, we can't run this ad. It's too controversial. And someone in charge was like, fuck it, run it.
Run it. And then somebody probably saw the stock jump, and it begs to wonder if some of these CEOs, and whether I really don't think that the Sydney Sweeney thing was an example of this. I think the Sydney Sweeney thing was kind of spot on because I think it's working because it put them back on the map, and I think it's a great ad.
It changed.
But I think that another one that just hit the news and caused all kinds of controversy on the other direction was the Cracker Barrel rebrand. Where it's like, are these CEOs that far out of touch with their customer base that they don't understand what their actual customer base wants? The Bud Light thing that happened, like their customer base, like they were we want to expand our customer base outside of the typical frat boys. Well, the frat boys pay your bills.
And have been for 100 years.
Yeah, don't fuck with your customer base. You know what I mean? Like, don't alienate the people that are actually buying your product and spit in their face.
It's
if
so
you want to
funny.
expand outside of it, then maybe kind of do it a little bit gentler than spitting in their face. And and I think I actually have a little bit of a different opinion on the whole Cracker Barrel thing. I don't really like the new logo. I think it's too plain and kind of like.
I've seen 100
boring
renditions of it that would have been so much better than what they came up with.
Yeah, and they actually backpedaled on the logo. They kind of went back to the old logo. I actually am not opposed to the restaurant new designs. I think that personally, they're more like a modern farmhouse kind of thing than more of the tacky old thing that they got going on.
Dude, I'm not a big Cracker Barrel fan, to be
Dude, their
quite honest.
pancakes are fucking bomb.
Are they?
Yeah.
I mean, I could count on one hand how many times I've been to a Cracker Barrel.
Me too, but it's good.
Good pancakes?
Yeah, pancakes are fire. But I think that it's like one of those things dude, know your crowd. Know the room. Read the room, dude.
Well, I think that's the problem with CEOs a lot of times. With CEOs, they got a lot of people around them that surround them with yes, 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 because they're afraid to tell the guy no, or the woman, no, you're not, this is wrong.
Yeah.
Like that, you know what I mean? And it's like, you don't need to be surrounding yourself with yes people,
Yeah, I think that I don't know, because I don't know the CEO of Cracker Barrel personally. I did watch the interview where she talked about this rebrand, and I think that it was similar to the Bud Light rebrand, where that she was kind of trying to move away from the customer base of what Cracker Barrel was. But Cracker Barrel was a successful restaurant brand with what it was. But if you look at the other restaurants in that space, in Pittsburgh, look at King's.
Yeah.
Remember King's? It's gone.
She gone.
So that space will dwindle. You got to be careful. Don't fuck with your customer base.
Right. It's funny because like you said, they have really good pancakes. And then there's the International House of Pancakes, and they have really bad pancakes.
Right.
But they tote the line. So
yeah. So I think that if they would have just kind of slow rolled that change, I think that rolling out a little bit of a, maybe the new locations have the new interior, or maybe they roll out that new interior on some of maybe the higher end. There's some, a lot of the fast food places, when they put up a new location, it's a beautiful new look. And sometimes in more affluent areas, they'll put a different layout or a different style restaurant that's a higher end look. Do that.
Yeah.
And I think that could have worked, but coming out is like an activist against your customer base. Like, we're abandoning the hillbilly that is our customer base and trying to be more modern, and that's going to just turn people off and turn people away.
Well, that specific clientele too, there's no way to get them back.
No.
The NFL did it.
Yeah.
There's still people that are, staunch, I'm never watching another game again. Kind of shit.
There's people that will never drink another Bud Light.
Yeah. I mean, it's
and honestly, look what Bud Light had to do. I mean, honestly, I think that Shane Gillis saved Bud Light.
Yeah.
Because they went the other direction, and they were like, listen, this chubby white guy that is inappropriate in the other direction, and Post Malone, this is the guy that's going to save our brand, because he's the frat boy that buys our product. Yeah, so let's lean on him to save the brand.
And like, wasn't Kid Rock continued? He came back.
But they had to, get him back.
I don't know. I think these companies are always looking for an angle. Like every other business is looking for an angle, but someone's pointing them in the wrong direction, And if, I guess what I would say to any Fortune 500 CEOs that are watching the show, if you're afraid to say no because you don't want to offend somebody in the room that's advising you in this new direction, then you're preparing to piss off a lot of people.
Yeah, corporate activism isn't going to work.
Right.
Stop.
Yeah.
With it, and but if look at the staunch difference between the two marketing strategies between like Bud Light, Cracker Barrel. Look at the difference between the marketing strategies between like Bud Light, Cracker Barrel, and American Eagle, and I really don't think that American Eagle set out with Sydney Sweeney and Travis Kelce as corporate activism. I think that was just a word play, like, hey, they're attractive people that I think are going to bring us people in the customer base, that ended up with people that are upset because, honestly, because I think people were just looking for reasons to be upset. And then these other two companies took like an activist stance and almost like shunned their customer base in order to take an activist position, and it backfired massively.
Yeah, with the Sydney Sweeney thing, I was going to run an ad that said "Hail to Pitt," and previously I would have been like, "Oh, dude, there's other colleges in Pittsburgh. I can't," I'm like, "Well, screw it. We'll see." If I get 10,000 people from Duquesne pissed off at me, is what it is. So you got to play that game, but like, you can't take so hard of a stance. You know what I mean? Like, it would be different if like anybody from Duquesne called me. I was like, yeah, no, we don't go there.
Yeah.
So it's a weird time to be alive, and this shit makes it even weirder because if you got good genes, you got good genes. And it's all it is. American Eagle is saying we have good genes, and Cracker Barrel is trying to maybe bring in another group into their marketplace, which I can understand that they want to market to everybody, but like you're saying, don't cut off your nose to spite your face.
Do you think anybody didn't go to Cracker Barrel because they thought?
Yeah, 1% of the people probably were like, we're not going there. That's like old waspy white people kind of place. We're not going there. But that 1% wasn't affecting your bottom line. You didn't need to cater. You didn't need to go after 80% of your client base to try to bring in 1%. It's that 10% of your business comes from, or 100% of your 80% of your revenue comes from 10% of your business, right?
Yeah, and like with Bud Light, I don't think anybody was looking at Bud Light and be like, that's what frat boys drink.
Yeah, I think everybody enjoyed Bud Light.
Yeah, or they didn't because they didn't like the taste, but they weren't like, that's frat boy beer. Right?
I agree completely. I mean, I was kind of worried that there was going to be some kickback for Iron City when they painted over the Duquesne clock. I'm like, oh, geez.
No.
I don't have to put these high D's. But, you know, I just hope that we can get back to like where, the world just comes together. Michael Jackson needs to come out with another song.
Looking at stuff stop looking for reasons to be offended.
That's it. I say it all the time in arguments with Sarah. I say, you're giving me too much credit. I'm not that smart.
Yeah, and honestly, like, people were offended by the new look of the inside of a Cracker Barrel. No, it's just modern.
Yeah, and it's okay to be just fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I think that's a problem that we're starting to see a lot.
Do I think that the inside logo, the logo was shitty? Yeah, it was just basic yellow with text. It's stupid looking.
Yeah, and you had to walk through a fucking gift shop to go get something to eat.
They're keeping that.
Yeah, and if you got kids, I'm out.
Yeah, they were keeping the stupid shop.
Yeah, spend $60 on Chinese checkers just to go get a pancake.
Yeah, they were keeping the stupid gift shop. But I don't think that the renovation was that big of a deal. The CEO coming out and talking about this rebrand to be able to be more tolerant.
And what's wrong with saying maybe we were wrong? Like everybody doubles down.
They did.
Triples down.
And I actually like that. And that actually made me think that, was this whole thing
a hoax?
like, I think they just timed it. I mean, I've seen companies do that, like around April Fools and shit. And like, they backpedaled hard, especially on the logo. I appreciate it. I get it. And I think they did a good job, and I think their stock, I think, rebounded pretty well, and I think they'll be fine. But
it's
corporate just stop with the corporate.
It's funny to see shit like that. Like, we're working on processes and systems in our business to make our businesses better, and you got a company that, like Cracker Barrel, Bud Light, they've been around forever. Yeah. Their system's not fucking broke,
right?
But like, at some point, every company chases more revenue and more, and dude, just ride the fucking wave sometimes.
Yeah, why? I don't know. I don't even know why. Why was the CEO, why was it necessary for the CEO to be on morning talk shows to talk about renovating Cracker Barrels? Why was it that big of a news story that we have to put it on a morning talk show about this beautiful rebrand that we're making this big push? That's what was the problem.
Yeah, I think they had to be paying for that to get that time slot.
Yeah, but that was part of the activism.
Yeah.
That was the problem.
Yeah, it made it news.
If they would have just done it, the logo was the problem, I think.
Yeah. I don't know. It was a terrible logo. When I first heard it, I didn't even see the new logo. I thought they just had some Monholian smoking crack on it. I was like, they're just going to have drug addicts on their logo or something, because it was getting all this like hype. So I like Googled it and was like, well, it's a terrible logo, but like, other than that, like, very offensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I didn't know what was going on. I still don't like think that it's really like their option to do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
And
the shareholders did not like it.
Yeah, who's next though? Like, who's the next one that's like, well, maybe we can be this one that diversify. You know what I mean? Like, quit the shit. Like, Pizza Hut's Pizza Hut, dude. Ford's Ford.
Do your thing, but don't make it a big activism stance. Don't make it a big...
Yeah, I mean, if you feel necessary to alienate your clientele because you feel a certain way about something, that is your choice. But when you're the CEO of a company that's publicly traded, you got to tote the line.
You're going to feel it.
Yeah. If you want to start a startup and...
I don't know. No. Maybe I'm looking at things differently because of my opinion.
Yeah.
How about in the comments? Do you disagree? Was the American Eagle Sydney Sweeney thing corporate activism? I don't think that it was. Was it? Leave a comment below.
We'll see what they say, man. So, other than that, it's a pleasure talking to you as always, man.
Always, buddy. So,
October will be here before you know it. Fall, everything's spice and nice, and we'll see what comes out of it. So, I don't own American Eagle jeans. Maybe I'll go buy a pair.
Either.
Apparently, they're good jeans, dude.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. Love you, bud.
Thank you for listening to Between Two Bridges, a business-to-business podcast. Find and follow us on your preferred podcast streaming platform. Like and subscribe, and leave us a rating and review. You can join us socially on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X. You can email the show at info@betweentwobridgespodcast.com. Until next time, make it till you rake it.